Well, if you're going to talk college football, I believe there's only one guy that you can talk to, at least that you should start with, and that is Phil Steele. He joins us now. He puts together the Phil Steele College Football Preview Magazine, the best in the biz, 350-plus pages, the most accurate magazine over the last 27 years, jam-packed with information. Phil joins us now here on Sports Tonight. Phil, it is so great to have you, and it's great to have you in studio because I think this is another reminder for people that you are from Northeast Ohio. You're a Cleveland guy. I know you've done a lot of stuff at ESPN, and you're known nationally. But Cleveland's home, right?
That's right. Born and raised in Cleveland and lived here my whole life and will continue to do so. And you're right. Not a lot of people know I'm actually from Cleveland. In fact, a lot of people, since I write about 131 teams, think I'm in their backyard, you know. So Pac-12 people think I live in the Pac-12 country because I write so good about that and all the way across the board.
Well, you and your team, you guys have done another great job on this. Just quickly, best place for people to pick it up if they still have not gotten it. And there's still plenty of time because week 0 in the books, but you still got the full season ahead.
Yeah, you're going to use the magazine every single week during the course of the season. Look up opponents. You get 2 full pages on every single team. Get the same write-up on a team like Texas State or Akron that you do on Ohio State and Alabama, the 2 full pages. Barnes & Noble's your best spot. If they're sold out, Walgreens, Walmart, places like that have it. Or you can go to the website, which is philsteele.com.
All right, let's start. You mentioned Ohio State. Let's start right there. They've got Notre Dame next Saturday at the Shoe. Should be a fantastic showdown. Give us your thoughts on Ohio State. Legitimate national title contender, correct?
Oh, there's no doubt. In fact, you look roster-wise, the 2 best teams in the country are clearly Ohio State and Alabama. And when you look at Alabama, they have my number 2 rated offense and my number 1 rated defense. Ohio State's got my number 1 rated offense, maybe my number 8 or 9 defense. They got to get that up to speed. I think they will with Jim Knowles as a defensive coordinator. But they've got 3 legitimate Heisman Trophy candidates on offense: C.J. Stroud at QB, Travion Henderson at running back, Jackson Smith-Njigba at the wide receiver spot. The offensive line's improved. The defense will be improved. And when you look at Ohio State's schedule, they're actually going to be a double-digit favorite in every single game. Frankly, I'm surprised the Vegas total's 10.5 on Ohio State. And let me give you a little thing about Ohio State last year. I talked to 120 of the 131 head coaches, Nick. And last year, when I got off the phone with the coaches, it seemed like 90% of them said, Phil, this is the deepest team I've ever had. We were able to go 3 deep in the spring. But which teams weren't that deep? Well, it was the big boys because they lost talent to the NFL. Mm-hmm. So what happened? Ohio State didn't make the Big Ten title game, didn't win the Big Ten. Clemson didn't win the ACC, didn't even make the ACC title game. Oklahoma, not even in the Big 12 title game. And heck, Alabama last year lost A&M, had a close win over Florida. They stopped a 2-point conversion, a close win over LSU. Should have lost Auburn. Had Bigsby not run out of bounds, they would have lost. They tie it up, win it in 4 overtimes. So the big boys were not the big boys last year. And that's why the totals are all 10.5 on the big boys. I see them all as Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia, all double-digit favorite in every game, and I see them winning all 12 games this year. So over 10.5 is a good play.
I mean, Ryan Day has done such an amazing job. I thought when Urban Meyer left, you know, what's going to happen with the program? I mean, if anything, the program has gone up, in my opinion, with Ryan Day in charge.
Yeah, I thought that first year for sure. You look at how the defense was before Ryan Day took over, and then the defense first year, big-time improvement. Now, they regressed the last 2 years, but I see them getting back to it with Jim Knowles there. And there's just so much talent on the defense side of the ball, they can't help but be better.
All right, you are a voter for the Heisman Trophy. Who's the favorite right now? I mean, we got to be having C.J. Stroud in that conversation, right?
Yeah, he's the favorite.
Okay.
And, you know, you look at Bryce Young, the returning Heisman Trophy winner. Now, the reason there hasn't been a repeat Heisman Trophy winner is the fact that you have to really outdo the previous year's stats. And Young threw for almost 5,000 yards last year, something like a 44-6 ratio. So if he does anything less than that, people say, he had an off year. And that's why he's not the favorite to win the Heisman. If you're looking for a couple of dark horses, how about a Dylan Gabriel of Oklahoma? Dylan Gabriel's a guy that in 2019 had a heck of a year with UCF. Mm-hmm. And they were one of the nation's most potent offenses. Well, his offensive coordinator, Jeff Lebby, is now his offensive coordinator at Oklahoma. And I actually have Oklahoma favored in all their games this year. So if Oklahoma's up there at the top, undefeated, and he's having a big year, throwing for about big yards, he's a real good dark horse. I think he's like 30-1 to win the Heisman. So if you're looking for a long shot, he's probably your best bet there.
All right, I think about Michigan. They're in the Big Ten East with Ohio State. You've also got Penn State in there. It always seems like the champion is going to be coming out of the Big Ten East. Like the Big Ten West is like the kids' table, I feel like, Phil.
Yeah, the Big Ten West is, to me, there's 5 teams that can win the Big Ten West. You know, you got Wisconsin, but they've got a tough schedule. You got Iowa. Iowa plays both Michigan and Ohio State this year, which makes it pretty tough for them. Minnesota's an underrated team. You've got Purdue, who's got the easiest schedule out of the Big Ten West, and then a team like Northwestern or even Nebraska still got a shot because their schedule's light. And I think the Big Ten West champ this year, Nick, has got 2 losses. Now, the Big Ten East champ is not going to have 2 losses. And I think Michigan is the team that's going to be playing Ohio State that final week of the season. You look at Michigan's road schedule this year. They play Indiana, Rutgers, and Iowa. 3 road games prior to Ohio State. So if they can go to Kinnick and beat Iowa, they could very well be 11-0 when they travel to face Ohio State on the road. And that would be quite a game. But Michigan's defense did lose a lot of talent, and I see them going from allowing 16 points per game to 22 points per game. So as Ohio State's defense improves, Michigan's takes a step back, and I have the Buckeyes a double-digit favorite in that game.
You imagine both of those teams going into that game undefeated. That would be unbelievable. All right, we are here in Northeast Ohio, and here in Northeast Ohio, we think about the MAC. Yep. You've got Kent State, who has been tremendous of late. You've got Akron. They just hired Joe Moorhead. Give us a little something on Kent State, a little something on Akron that we could at least look for this fall.
Well, you know, Kent State, it was funny when I talked to their head coach. I mean, their non-conference slate this year is ridiculous. And it was last year. And I said, what, you asked the AD to make it even tougher for you? I think they're playing.
Yeah, I got the schedule here.
I mean, flip through and find the 3 teams they're playing. But it's absolutely ridiculous up front there for Kent. Now, they do lose their quarterback, and he was an outstanding QB in Crum. So he's going to be tough to replace, but I think they're a team that can challenge in the East should they be able to go on the road and pick up a couple of wins and survive their non-conference schedule, which you're going to tell us about. Who are the 3 teams?
Kent State. They have to go to Washington, they have to go to Oklahoma, and they have to go to Georgia.
How about that, Georgia?
That's a cakewalk.
Yeah. So it is a tough non-conference slate, but if they can stay healthy, I think they're a contender in the East. For the record, I went with Miami of Ohio winning the East this year. Now, Akron's an interesting case. Because
a little bit, obviously, a rebuild there, right? I mean,
Tom Arth was building them with freshmen and building them with freshmen. And then last year, they almost upset Ball State, and then they fired Tom Arth with 3 games to go. And you're like, well, I saw the progress. This year, they've got 16 returning starters. And what Joe Moorhead did is he went out and hit the transfer portal hard.
Yes.
So they've got a lot of Power 5 guys coming in. So he's got all that freshman talent. They've got the Power 5 guys coming in. I think Akron's going to surprise some folks. Get to a bowl game? I'm not quite going to go there yet, but they will win more games than last year and be far more competitive.
All right, I'm going to guess 2 of your 4 for the college football playoff. Alabama, Ohio State.
Shocking.
Who will be the other 2 there?
I really went out on a limb here, Nick. Really,
Alabama and Ohio State, right?
Yeah, Alabama, Ohio State.
And then the other 2.
Clemson.
Okay.
Georgia.
All right. Well, yeah. What chalk?
I'm a big risk taker this year.
I know you do a lot with most improved teams and surprise teams, so you look at other angles. I mean, it's not. I mean, obviously the big boys for the college football playoff, but.
And as I mentioned, last year the big boys struggled because they were at a deficit compared to the rest. Michigan last year had 17 returning starters. Almost every team in the NCAA had 17 to 21 returning starters, with the exception of teams like Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, and Oklahoma. Even Northwestern struggled last year. They only had 8 returning starters. So it was really a bad year to not be experienced. Now, if you're looking for a dark horse, Utah, the team Ohio State just played in the Rose Bowl.
Yes.
Nobody's really talking about them, but they have a top 10 offensive line, a top 10 defensive line. Cam Rising's back at QB. They're loaded at running back. And if they get past Florida in the season opener in the Swamp, which they're a slight favorite for, they could very well be favored in all their games this year. And if a Pac-12 team runs the table, as beat up as the Pac-12 has been this offseason, then I think Utah would make the playoff over a 1-loss Georgia or a 1-loss Alabama.
Wow. Phil, listen, always great stuff. We love catching up with you. This means college football is here. Week 0 in the books. Now we go into week 1. We can't wait. Thanks for stopping by WKYC.
A lot of fun, Nick. Thanks for having me here.
The great Phil Steele. Pick up the magazine.